Hello and welcome as we head into the 21st day of October 2017. My name is Derek and welcome. Let's take a look at Bitcoin and interesting move. One of the things I was stating that I didn't think 6,000 would really be much resistance other than maybe short term, and boy was it big resistance today short term. We'll see if this current break is going to be just that. There were several days which price action resisted this level, and well, today it broke through. So everything, of course, within what I state, is what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. So obviously everything you do is within your own risk and own reward. And let's shorten this out, but just a beautiful setup. As I've talked about before, this move down towards here, the very quick lift off, and it hasn't taken long to break through this. I was even stating before that normally in a situation when you create a big level, have a good correctionary move, and you come back to it, it's not a bad place to sell. But you know what though, I'd be a little scared here to do so, and well, this is the exact reason why. Let's shorten out this time frame, and this is a 60-minute, and there's a situation in which nice straight move up, goes sideways, has this little test move, and here market corrects through time, comes down to the 18 average of highs, and here we see it having a huge green candle higher. So very nice. We've seen good volume on the rise, the sideways correction on high but lower volume, and decent sized volume right now within this current break higher. You'd want it, it's got 18 minutes left, but you'd want it, unless of course it's going to have a massive break, that is, to be decent volume up around here. It looks like that's what's going to happen. On the 15, it's very beautiful. And you know what? Here's a situation in which you have the possibility of a failed breakout. You break a key level of resistance. Next step is you gotta go back quickly into the key congestion trading area, the 18 average band. And the next step quickly thereafter that is you got to break your new established support. Well, it didn't do that. It didn't do that step. No. Failed to do that because its correctionary move did just that. It did just that. It corrected. Came back at above the 18 average of highs nicely. Another little bit of fierce sell-off, but managed to make a higher low. And well, this one now just made a statement. Now it's up towards this level. Short term support 6,000 to 6,020, but that'll be shown a lot more clearly on the 5-minute time. Insert that chart, and this is what we see. 6,000, and I broadcasted the hit perfectly. I stopped it right at this high. I figured as it was breaking higher, when it was breaking this resistance going up, and I was even stating it's gonna hit the 6,000 mark in the next the next couple of minutes, and it did in like 30 seconds or 40 seconds. It was like so cool to cover live, and I'll probably do some more of that. But you know, it'd be more fun instead of doing this on Bitcoin where I really can't trade it too much, and I hate, of course, buying the tether. Is actually doing this on any other cryptocurrency that has extreme volatility on the 1-minute time frame, and it's hard to find them. But as we continue through, again, we can see how big this level was. It held and supported this level for a decent amount of time. And then, of course, in here, it's just a beautiful breakout pattern. There's no reason why this thing isn't poised ASAP now to roar through the 6,000s. Let's go back to the daily. And I want to go back to in here, as I was pretty sure it was going to be relatively soon before it was going to break there. And well, it did really relatively fast. Now I thought the same thing in here too as well. And there was a few days of waiting and a little decline. But what I stated in that video was I expected for it to really roar through the 5,000s and even into the 6,000s. And so far I've been correct, because it did roar through the 5,000s. A little bit of a week or so going sideways, So now we'll see if the parlay towards such is going to be correct. Because it didn't have to just keep on going all the way quick, but as we were moving into the later parts of October, which we're doing, now we're entering day 21, that I would expect within a time duration of the next few days for this to most likely do well into the 6,000s. And as I stated earlier, even though Mr. Cliff High stated, oh, we're going to like 68, which, I mean, he's been doing pretty decent so far. That doesn't mean it can't go to 75 or 77, or this breakout's a failed breakout. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen, but it's always in the case of possibilities. And the reason why I figured it was going to rip through the 6,000s was not because of what he stated, Cliff that is, but although it does help when a lot of what he says really works well aligned with my research on the charts, but that because of the break of this resistance, I figured that a move to here just isn't going to cut it. A move up towards here, yeah, at least into here, that's why I think, you know what, I mean, a move to like 9,000, this is like, okay, so be it. I've talked about the 3x gains from that 18 average of lows. 3x gain from 3,000 is about 9. And even if you talk about 2.5, you're talking about 7,500. So something else to keep in line, that technical analysis almost states that the breakout level, if you want to put a range to it, that around the 65 to 6,600 would almost be the conservative level or the lower end of the range I would be looking towards if having to pick a target. And it also makes sense if anywhere around the 13,000, 14,000 level for late winter 2018 to be in place, that it probably would make a move closer to 8,000. Because in that situation, it would make sense that it tops, we'll say late October, somewhere close to 7,000 or early November, somewhere in that time frame. Then maybe we'll have some sort of pullback of some sort of degree, probably some sort of a healthy one as far as the weekly chart is concerned. So it wouldn't surprise me if a move comes up towards in here, 75, that wouldn't shock me. And then, of course, this 18 average will keep rising within its trend. And then it has a move back down, and by the time it makes it to like around the 4,700 level, 5,000 level, it would meet up with the 18 average, maybe even a little higher, 53 or 55, but that would make sense. So another thing I wanted to state, and I'll say it now that it's on my mind, is I think there's a relatively decent chance that in the relative near term, multiple weeks, that we will see both prices closer to 7,000 as well prices lower down towards here. But I think this one will happen first, meaning it makes sense to me. We'll go rally up to here, pull back. A lot of times we'll just pull back down to here. This pullback, extreme rally halfway to this resistance. This pullback, microscopic rally, well, in the middle of this high. And this this pullback in here matched this high. This pullback matched this high. So if it has a standard rally, and a standard rally to me is just that. Because this didn't get out of control too much. It was just by the book as I would look at it as far as a key break of what a higher high would look like. Whereas this was a pretty decent sized differential. And as I look at this now, and I'm just seeing how well it would have played, going back to where you came from is good buying spots when you're seeing pullbacks in secular bull markets. But if you ever get in a situation like this where it gets out of control, sometimes if you want just a little entry, just wait for the 18 average of lows, which is another way of me pointing out if the web bot is wrong and we see extreme prices well before the time frame, And 6,800-ish is a joke of an upside number. And I state that because if you don't find resistance where you're supposed to, and the same thing is on support and the polar opposite, but we're talking uptrend and resistance. If you're not getting it where you're supposed to, don't be surprised if it keeps going really quick. And quite frankly, I would have to say somewhere around here we're probably supposed to find some resistance. So if it's deep, it's tough to say that. I mean, 72 is same ballpark area, but if this thing keeps going, to me, it's either got to top somewhere around 7,000, a little south, a little north. If it doesn't do that, then we could be seeing closer to 10,000 in the next 3 weeks. I never even thought that would be possible until I was saying this just now. I'm thinking of this as I'm analyzing such. But we're supposed to be having resistance soon. And one of the things I and so many technical analysis traders talk about, and I've learned this from, I've talked to his name, Brian Shannon, a few times, basically my teacher from 2007 and 8, 9 even, that you basically, I mean, these are the buy spots. And then the same thing on the sell. You wait for key breaks. You want it noticeably above, but you don't want to wait for too long because you get in here, you're going to get the gains. You got in here, well, it worked out. So in this situation, you get in here. Well, you're not too much further away from that breakout pattern. But what it means is the later you wait on the break above, the less of the gains that are available to you, of course, in comparison to in here on the lower end. So therefore, and using a standard move like this, buying in here, enabled yourself to get gains up to this point and really enabled yourself to always be in a winning position from the forward point on. We're buying in here. Worked out that you bought very close to the top. If you sold there, you didn't get as much profits. You endured a much more scarier situation in here, which may have caused some people to panic sell as well. So I always feel that if I'm going to wait for a break, I always want to be in at the right time. If you're late to the party, guess what? There's thousands of parties that are available. You just got to find another. You miss a boat? Well, good thing there's many boats out there. But a good way of thinking about missing a boat in this game is imagine yourself as a baseball player. A big home run hitter, especially for someone like Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees. And not having to worry about a count and 3 strikes and you're out. I mean, let's just throw that aside. If you take a pitch, it just doesn't count. How many home runs would Aaron Judge hit if he was allowed to have 100 swings and he was allowed to pass on as many pitches as he desired? If he really wanted to, he could probably get close to 70 to 80. Because he can be very, very picky in his pitches. As far as traders, you can be very, very picky with your setup. Just try to find as many pitches as you can and take the ones that look good and swing at them. Okay, switch it back over the 5-minute time frame. Just because there's an interesting pattern developing, we'll go back to this in a little while because after this I'm going to go to the alternate coins. But the situation matching this high, technically making all-time highs, piercing above, but you know what, as I've stated before, if it's a little above, a little below, it's a match. And as I stated on the intro of this video, this is what you're looking for. So we'll get to watch a little bit of it in action. So we'll go to the alternate charts and then switch back to Bitcoin. And here we have Ethereum on the same 5-minute time frame. So short term, this thing isn't looking good. Midterm, long term, these things are in a nasty bear market. Let's take a look at this on the daily term time frame. And I mean, it's in this obvious downtrend. It's been declining since since June. And the crypto markets have been in a downtrend for, well, quite some time. I'm just looking at a possible trend line now. It's not even close. I have to start it down here. Well, I mean, that would be pretty extreme, but just something to keep your eye on if, of course, there is any major capitulation within this market. I have absolutely none of these. I have very little altcoins to begin with. at this stage. I've been exiting out of them for Bitcoin throughout the month of October, and I've been, of course, talking about how big it is when you establish an extreme level of support. And in this indication, it was making matching highs and lower, matching lows and lower highs. That was easy to say. Not really. You should be, though. And on the break of support, typical action. I mean, pretty much straight down. No, has yet to have much of a test of, not even really, hasn't even tested this support level yet. Not exact anyway. The best it's be able to do is come up to a little over 63. Now it's down to 49.4. This thing was at 16, almost, and now it's breaking below 5. So it has lost 2/3 of its value from its high. I will be buying some more of these. I am envisioning, as I got like well over 80% of my Bitcoins in that just such, that is, that I'll be like buying like almost everything when the time is right. And it's not right now. And if you want to just talk about technical analysis, another little easy, small bit of information that's noteworthy and important. Everything's running by the book now anyway, so we might as well explain the book. So you have this support that breaks through. You create a leg lower. You're going to have some sort of correctionary move on your first leg lower. So therefore, the resistance test that occurred around the 63 handle in here, which made it into the 18 average, was that test. And it did establish this level of support. So therefore, right now, it has technically broke it. You can almost say it's matched it because it could still have a bear market rally, maybe up to any of these types of points in the 18 average, and then break lower after that. But there's a decent chance it's going to either be that or keep going lower. And the whole aspect is whether it does the lower high fall move or just keeps falling. I'm going to be looking for a significant noticeable leg on the key level. For this is significantly notable for this. So therefore, I would be considering a move at least around the 43 handle and maybe even lower than that. And now down to LITECOIN. And I wish I would have sold 100% of them off at this stage, but I have sold over 70-75% of my LITECOIN off, and it's pretty much it is the only alt currency that I have of significant market cap value, as I have none of the other top 20s or so, with probably KOMODO being the next biggest one on the list. So they're all speculative alts that I got, and there really ain't many. Like I said, I'm well over 80% in Bitcoin. I'd like to say bankroll, but I don't like portfolio, even though I'm gonna keep saying it, but portfolio is too bankish, and bankroll is too advantage gamblerish as far as the terms that I'm used to stating. Anyway, major level of support is where we're standing. We're pretty much at this exact low. So we're still at this low. We're at this bottom. And we're at this bottom again. The more times you test support or resistance, but in this case support, the more likely it is you take it out. And oftentimes when you see such, you can oftentimes get weaker moves. Now this was a pretty good move because it made a matching high. And this was even a really good move too because it was pretty close, but it just failed in here. This move wasn't that great of a rally. And this is the correctionary area time frame. It was supposed to at least flatten the band out. It couldn't even flatten the band out. Couldn't even do that. Gonna say it again. Price action in here. It could get extremely serious, extremely violent as far as some of the movements that go over. And I like to use that word because if you haven't read the WebBot report, I'm not going to tell you what's in it. I am going to be making a video soon talking about it, but it's something that you have to read between the lines. especially with this historic accuracy or lack thereof of timing. But events being, oh my goodness, especially with things that are like supposed to be so unlikely to happen, 6 and 1, 10 and 1, 50 and 1 shots happening over and over again. I mean, that to me is impressive. But anyway, I remember reading in his first or second crypto report, I think it was his first, about people like making YouTube videos, going on social media in forums and basically crying, or really, I'm not going to say committing suicide by any means, but I'm just talking about having really, really bad moments because of the losses, major panics, major fears. And a lot of what has been said about the webbot are the extreme, violent, wild moves. And breaking this level has this possibility. I can't stress enough by the book, it says it should happen, whether the likelihood will or not. There's always a possibility that it does hold the support, or you do manage to get any type of failed breakdown. And may I point this out now, when I talk about failed moves and fast moves. The way I have noticed markets through the approximate 10 years or so I've been studying charts is this. The bigger the situation for the move, if it's a really, really big, and this is a big one here, if that becomes the failed move, fast move, then that fast move can be tremendous. And silver in 2011 had that exact situation. And the failed breakout pattern didn't do so, and then the thing just crashed like no other. But in this case, this is a very big move. Let's put the weekly time frame on. And another thing that he's mentioned is that the charts are pretty much going to be moving in formats that are like just unexplainable, like not seen kind of things. And it's pretty much already as it is right now. And it has been for a long time too. But this is an interesting pattern since the Coinbase adding LITECOIN. And in a situation as violent as this move was, for it to ultimately not break this high, have these up and down choppy movements, if this does break, well, I'm going to do some Fibonacci calculations. We're going to look at a 61.8% from the high and the low, which will probably equate to somewhere around here. And who knows if touching or breaching this low is even possible, because it could easily be possible with these wild markets that on this time frame it makes a lower low and a higher high. A lower low from the April lows breaking below 325,000 Satoshi, breaking below 300,000 and probably even 250, and then breaking months after that here. That wouldn't surprise me. I'm not predicting it, but it wouldn't surprise me. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to put some Fibonacci numbers up. I got to go back to Bitcoin on its 5-minute time frame as well. So then, let's take a look at this. There we go. Sorry about that. Let's take a look at the numbers. We got 21 as a high, and we got the low in at about, we'll say the 3, just close enough. Down target 900. No, we're looking for 38.2, which is 63.09. I'm going to do a down target in a bit, but that's a different calculation. So again, we're looking at the 63, no, 99.86. How big has the 10 number been? Yeah, 63.09. Yeah, right in here. And it always pierces a bit below. If you're looking, if I were to be placing a buy order in these areas, and I probably will, 60. I think 60 might be a good one, but at the risk that I told you before, that there could be some wild movements. And if 60 is not support on the way down, If the breach happens, then we'll be talking about going to 30 and another 50% decline. And then if that doesn't happen, another 50% decline. But for now, the target I would have is 600,000 Satoshi, whatever that's. But yeah, right around here would be my target. All right, then. Let's carry on forward. Let's take a look at the 5-minute Bitcoin chart. And I mean, wow. It almost came close to hitting the 18 average of highs. Man, sellers, you're not that aggressive, or buyers, you just have to wait. Like, you couldn't wait a little bit, and I'm saying in that manner because one of the things that's good for trading is if things happen earlier than normal, then that's what you're looking for. Buyers becoming more aggressive or less aggressive than normal. Same thing with the sellers, which is pretty much the case in here. Man, this looks good. And here's the thing about this video. It's already 26 minutes and 18 seconds. So it's going to take a while to upload, probably 15 to 20 minutes. I wouldn't mind taking a break. And its price action is probably going to be 6,300 when you watch it. I hope it is anyway. But I'm going to pause the tape and see what this looks like moments later and take a little break. And a little bit of time has passed on. And I've been thinking now, and for somebody like myself who is basically a big critic of myself, and I try to analyze and find as many mistakes as I can, that it's one of these situations where I've been really, really happy with the last few weeks of my trading, that when I'm unable to criticize my trading too much, that means I'm doing pretty good, and it's actually a good feeling. But I'm also in a situation of fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, and well, you can't fool me again. And after the defeat that my portfolio took in the month of July, I wasn't going to allow that to happen again. So for myself as a trader to be up as much as I am since October the 4th in dollar values, but I'm literally down about 0.9 or 1.2% of my Bitcoin value in that time. My Bitcoin portfolio got destroyed, not destroyed, but it took a good retracement in the month of July. But again, I've only lost about 1% or so of my portfolio from the time I realized I got to be a bear on altcoins and a bull on Bitcoin. Small retracement back down to the 18 average. What I'm going to do now is scroll back and actually show you the failed move or the great silver setup at 50 bucks. And it was back in 2011, and after making this move up to 50 with extreme volatility, have this correction back to the 18 average and right in here. I bought 2 ounces of silver for 100 bucks. So in here, it was shaping up like this thing was big. But the $50 level was massive, based on the 1980 level. From a failed good setup, fast move lower. Back to Bitcoin and a retracement within this 18 average right now. Still higher than this low. When you're looking at the market short term from this position, what you really want to see is a break above the 18 average, and especially above this high. When you see that, major conviction can come into place. And as a day trader, I'm long because it just broke that level. 25 seconds into the new pattern, the strength of this bullish pattern increases. A couple minutes later, my price action back to all-time highs. This is where I'm pretty confident it's going to be probably breaking soon. 1 minute to play in this time frame. 47 seconds into the next period, another test of resistance from support of here. This is looking strong. Further 18 rising average test. Seconds into the new period, the test is now to state that this is a successful rally attempt or correction from the band. It's still got an 18 average of lows here. but further liftoff would be really cool. Now, any type of further action will get us above the 18. And that move in real time was about 2 seconds from that bottom to where it's at 6079.9. Some sellers bring it down close to the 18 average of lows here. A minute and a half later, the buyers bring it back up to the 18 average of highs. A couple minutes later, the sellers bring it back down. This is now 6 periods correcting within this band. We can see the band is barely starting to lose its rate of ascent, so it's a solid correctionary phase right now. A minute and a half into the new period, we can notice a little bit of a symmetrical triangle coming into form. About 10 or so minutes until the big congestion period. A minute later, we get our first 18 average of lows test, and of course a break of that support line I just drew in. Nothing happens for 4 minutes until this rally up to 60.70, supporting off this 18 average of lows, now looking to make a test towards the upper range of this 18 average of highs, and a break of what would be this resistance line, and a break of this D-Day play. As that's what I call it, oftentimes is the D-Day. Stands for decision day. D-Day, decision day. Decision of what this thing is going to do. 3 minutes later, it moved to the 18 average highs. Shortly in the new period, a rise above the 18 and a small pullback thus far. About 40 seconds later, a very sharp move down to close to the 18 average of lows that got rebought back up to this 18 average of highs. And this is getting to be a nice bullish formation. A minute later, small retracement. What's always good to know is after a rally, are we doing a sideways correction? Resistance is established. Support is established on 2 different levels in here, which means if you're playing the range game, you put buy orders in around here and you put sell orders around here. You could also put buy orders in around here playing that game as well. And these ranges could be long. This video is already long, and I was really enthusiastic coming in this video, and I'm getting bored now. It's because ranges and that can be boring. Thank you for tuning in, and wow, thank you for watching a long video. Obviously, you found this helpful, and I'm glad and appreciative to be able to help in the manner in helping in trading. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.